You're listening to The World at 8 with Lynn Moser. The World at 8, the number one in Nationalist news.
Headlines of the news today, Friday the 17th of February. Gabrielle Browne wins 9-year battle to have sex attacker Mohammed Kendeh deported to Sierra Leone. 4 million Olympics Games tickets remain for sale to public. Griffin writes on official recognition of alliance of European nationalist movements. China vetoes UN vote on Arab League's plans to oust Syrian leader. Unilever workers anger over loss of final salary pension scheme. UK news. A brave white British woman has won a battle against an illegal Muslim immigrant who tried to rape her by getting him deported after a 9-year battle to kick him out of Britain. The woman, named as Gabrielle Browne, fought off Mohammed Kendeh as he attacked her when she was out training for the London Marathon. Kendeh's previous crimes have a wide variety of nastiness, including 11 sexual assaults, arson and burglary. All of these crimes committed in Britain whilst he was allowed to roam loose by the Human Rights Article 8 law, which puts all indigenous British people in danger from all foreign criminals. She battled against the Marxist police and immigration court rulings and fought tooth and nail to win her case. Brave Gabrielle even waived her right to anonymity to condemn the criminal justice system. After her 9-year battle, the African Mohammed Kendeh was shoved on a plane back to Sierra Leone. About 4 million tickets to see the Olympic Games in London this year are yet to be put up for sale to the public. There was a panic buying spree early on when sales opened with the thought that tickets would be gone quickly. Euronews with Griffin MEP. This week, Griffin reports from Strasbourg with news that suggests our presence has helped cause a really bad case of the gripes in the belly of the EU beast. After months of waiting, writes Mr Griffin, we have finally got the news we've been hoping for. The alliance of European nationalist movements, of which the British National Party is a founder member, has been officially recognised and is to receive over €250,000 in funding this year. The initial proposal for the creation of the alliance came from Bruno Gollnisch, who has been an MEP for the Front National for more than 20 years. He told me when I got there in 2009 that he'd been waiting all that time for an Englishman who wants to get things done, and we've worked very closely ever since. Like Jean-Marie Le Pen, he's a real gentleman as well as a fighter. The driving force of the initiative, however, is Bela Kovacs, one of the 3 MEPs from the Movement for a Better Hungary. I first met Bela before the European election, at which we both won seats, and I've come to regard him as a friend as well as a colleague. He's got a great sense of humour and limitless ambition for our cause. Together we've created a real milestone in the history of the nationalist movement all across Europe. We now face a battle to resist the inevitable attacks and attempts to bully or bribe people and parties who have signed up to the alliance, so as to push us below the threshold of having high elected representatives in at least 7 EU countries. But we have already got 2 more interested in joining, which should give us a big safety net. Our aim is to build steadily and to get experience this year, so that next year we are in the position to secure a bigger grant. Every extra euro that our grouping gets comes out of a pot that would otherwise be shared amongst all the other parties. So we're hitting Lib, Lab, Con and UKIP rather than the taxpayer, so it's a win-win. Nick goes on to explain how the money can be used to further our nationalist cause. None of the money can be used by us or for us as individual MEPs or for our own parties. It is there to help build cooperation between parties within the alliance, to organise and publicise joint campaigns and to spread awareness of the fact that in 2014 electors will have the opportunity to vote for our nationalist slate on a second ballot paper where they get to choose between pan-European political groups backed by like-minded parties. If the alliance is not well organised and on that ballot paper, then the seats will probably go to the far left or to the anti-human watermelon Greens. But with more than 2 years to build, we're in with a good chance of winning extra seats. That's how we've got to use the institutions of the federal Europe to block the creeping development of the undemocratic federal European project. So we'll be looking to fund conferences where we exchange practical campaigning experience, simultaneous demonstrations and activities, and an internet presence where we can find out things that the controlled media would rather we didn't know about. I was hoping to arrange for a team of us to turn up outside the Bilderberg conference later this year, but as it's in Israel this time, we might give that a miss rather than appear insensitive. Mr. Griffin ends by giving an example of the kind of inspiring nationalist news that an alliance of European nationalist movements website would allow us all to share. Partway through the writing of this dispatch, I got a call from Roberta Fiore, leader of the fast-growing Forza Nuova, New Force movement in Italy. Some listeners will remember Roberto's inspirational speech at the Red, White and Blue Festival several years ago. We've been good friends since Roberto was a very genuine political refugee in London 30 years ago, and he's a remarkable man with a life full of remarkable experiences. But in all that time I've known him, he's never told me anything on the scale of what he had to say today. Over the last few months he's been working with the militant farmers who we met when I visited Sicily and the immigrant-swamped island of Lampedusa last year. Together they devised a plan to protest at the way in which cheap imports from North Africa, see my speech in Parliament this week on that subject by the way, are combining with a ruthless repossessions policy by the banks to drive many farmers off land and out of homes that their families have worked and loved for generations. Together with lorry drivers angered by the fuel tax rip-off, they mounted a petrol blockade that literally brought Sicily to a standstill a couple of weeks ago. From the island by the toe of Italy, the protest, in which Roberto and his people played a leading role right from the start, spread like wildfire. A staggering 100,000 protesters were involved, with the most dramatic blockades involving farmers with combine harvesters as well as hundreds of hauliers. Clearly such drama was much more genuinely newsworthy than the ridiculous fuss over racist name-calling between a couple of overpaid footballers, but the controlled media used such non-stories to block out coverage of the real issues. No doubt the powers that be are terrified at the possibility of other hard-working but disgruntled tax cows hearing about the protests in Italy and spreading them all over Europe. After all, we all face the same problems from the same rotten EU occupation governments. That's why it's so important that we work together and build the resistance. World news. China has given a no vote at the UN on the Arab League's plan to oust Syrian leader Bashar al-Assad. The Arab League have been expressing their case to the UN about what they call human rights violations with the regime in Syria. The Chinese foreign minister spoke out to say that the fighting between Bashar al-Assad and the rebel forces are not the business of China and they will not get involved. A major civil war may get underway because new reports say that the Arabs may arm the Syrian rebels. February the 17th is the first anniversary of the Libyan uprising against Colonel Gaddafi. The uprising started in Benghazi, then escalated right across Libya. Many have criticised the way that Colonel Gaddafi was killed. My only comment on the previous two news flashes is that the grass is not always greener on the other side, and that I am unusually with China on this one. Just another thought. In the terrible stabbing incident that involved a 13-year-old child in Doncaster, why are the media concentrating on how it happened, instead of concentrating on the mental state of the 26-year-old woman who killed a stranger? There is no care in the community, my friends. Thanks to mental homes and asylums being closed down, and the inmates forced onto the streets or into high-priced accommodation, there are people of our own ethnicity out there unable to relate to the world today. They are allegedly closing down 4 wards at Broadmoor Hospital, and to complete the picture in my area they are closing 3 police stations as well. Put this into context with the Olympics and the foreign dross that will come over, plus our foreign idiots and the Article 8 farce, and I truly wonder exactly what our politicians are thinking of. Is the asylum going to run the country, or is it already? And finally, Unilever workers are in anger over the closure of its final salary pension scheme to its already existing members. The Unite Union is backing the workers on the issue. The Unite Union, who are responsible for the Marxist Unite Against Fascism rabble, will be backing the workers against the company that makes Marmite. Ironic is how one spokesperson put it. You have been listening to The World at 8. I am Lynn Mozart, and I and the Radio Britain team wish you all a very happy and safe weekend. And if you have any comments on any of the news flashes that we've done today, please do not hesitate in letting us know. Thank you very much. Goodbye.